Thank you for taking time out of your day to be here, to learn, to grow yourself, grow your business. It's a big deal to sacrifice time because I know how busy you are. And so let's get going. There's so many of us that are wanting to move the needle this month. Every month, we are looking to grow our businesses, and we are learning in the midst. We might have not have known whenever we stepped into this business that it was way more about growing ourselves than just about growing a business. And so I feel like that there's a lot of times that we hit these hurdles, and we need to learn how to jump over the hurdles to get to the other side, to continue to the finish line, versus either halting, right? I remember my kids being in track in middle school, and a lot of kids that get to that hurdle and they just stop, and like literally their whole body would try not to touch it because they're like, I'm not going over, right? Learning how to jump it, learning how to even approach the hurdle to get over the hurdle is a skill within itself. And being able to see that those hurdles are there to make you stronger, to quicken your step, and to allow you to get to the finish line. And so this is just a critical, in my opinion, a critical training for all of us to be able to finish strong, to be able to see what is happening with us personally and evaluate that. I've always said self-evaluation is one of the greatest things that you can do as a leader, but I will say you have to learn to do it well and in a healthy way. Because if some of us begin to evaluate and we have this critical heart about ourselves, critical voice, critical spirit, and we end up saying unkind words to ourselves. Whenever you can mature in your leadership development, which takes a maturity process, just like everything. This business is emotional maturity, it's spiritual maturity, and it is evaluating ourselves well with the maturity that we grow into to be able to say, what have I done? What can I do better? What worked? What didn't work? And what's my new game plan? That is so good to do whenever we can do that in a healthy way. So I wanted to talk through some things this morning to really talk about ways to get unstuck. I feel like that a lot of you feel like you're stuck this month, and you're actually, if you're in movement and in motion and in action every day, you're actually not stuck at all. We sometimes define quietness. We define if people are joining or not joining us. We define if the needle didn't move today, but we wanted it to, and we define that as being stuck. And we need to refresh ourselves to say, we're not necessarily stuck, we're in action. It's just that the readiness of others is not there right now. And I'm going to continue to serve them during this time because there will come a day that they will be ready. So once again, we need to be healthy in our approach to ourselves and our approach to the business, to be able to stay in action and to not burn out, to not grow weary. So let's talk a little bit about those 6 ways to get unstuck and be able to see your business transform today, tomorrow, this month, August, as we move forward. And there's 3 questions as we start this. The 3 first are 3 questions that I want you to ask yourself as you evaluate, and then we'll move to the last 3. But the first one is, do you know your deepest, most compelling why? And we talk about our why often. There are so many times that I'll ask you, what is your why? What is your purpose? But there's reason for that. So if you feel like that you're stuck, my first question is to you is, what is your why? Because when we have lack of clarity, it is like that we're on this treadmill and we're running and running and running, but we're questioning where we're going. In fact, we often don't know where we're going because we don't know that deep-rooted why that's really deep inside of us, that some of you may even still honestly be afraid to write out, be afraid to speak out, because you don't know what that's going to feel like if you really put it out there. But you have to know that, and you have to write it down, and you have to speak it for you to be able to move forward. I think a lot of you, not only are you on a treadmill, and I see it month after month, I see people that On the first of the month, they are all in. They're like, yes, let's do this. And by the middle of the month, they're going, ugh, like I'm tired, I'm weary, I don't know. And then they go into a cave. So a lot of people, you're running on the treadmill and you literally put it at your highest speed on the very first of the day. And now you're taking a water break as Dawn takes a drink. Thank you for that visual. You are taking a water break, but you're literally never getting back on the treadmill. And that would be me asking you, do you know your why? Like, why are you getting up every day? Because guys, everyone on this call, we have to wake up in the mornings. We have purpose, and there's a reason for us to wake. It might be because we are a mother and we're caring for children, or we're getting up and having conversation with our spouses before they leave. It is because we have work ourselves and we have to get up. There is an expectancy for us to show up. We might have a ministry or a mission that we are doing. We might be caring for parents, but you wake up every day with purpose. A lot of times I've been blessed in my years to have focused areas on the elderly, and in having conversations with them and watching the process of why some elderly people do well and others don't as they get older. It all really boils down to purpose, because as they get older, if they don't feel like that there's still purpose for them, they get to a place where they sleep. There's no reason to wake up. They take naps throughout the day. There's nowhere for them to go. There's no place for them to go. They don't have purpose. And so if you don't know your why and why you're doing what you're doing, there is no purpose in you sitting down and doing your income producing activities. There's no purpose for you to make that phone call that's going to make you really uncomfortable to have a conversation with somebody. There's no reason for you to have to follow up with your people because you desire for them to be successful and for there to be retention. There's a reason that when we wake up, that there's purpose in that, and we get into motion every single morning. When people are counting on us, we show up, right? Like you show up for your kids. You show up for your employer. You show up for your spouse every single day, whether you want to or not, because you have purpose in it. And I want you to think about that when it comes to your business, because your business has to have just as deeply rooted, seated purpose for you to show up every day. And that's why we're always talking about your why. That's why we always come back to that space, because that is what gets you up every day. When I worked full time and did hours away and had to find time to do this business, I did not need this business financially. I wanted it financially because there were things I wanted for our family. There were things that I knew that we were headed for in our future financially. There were things that I wanted to do with the money financially, but I didn't have to have the money. It had to be more than the money for me. There had to be purpose behind it, or I would have never given up my 30-minute lunches. I would have never stayed up late at night to do my business. I wouldn't have gotten up early so that I had 30 minutes before I left the house to reach out to people. I found ways and I sacrificed my time because of my deep-rooted why. So if you are feeling stuck right now, I'm going to ask you to go back and look at that and really evaluate what it is. So to get unstuck, you got to know your why. You've got to set it in front of you every single day, and you've got to speak it out loud. That's what gets you moving. Second thing that I want you to ask yourself is, are you embracing your past or are you embracing your potential? We are in competition with ourselves. A lot of us think that it's in competition with the people beside us. We're like, why is she doing well? Why is she promoting? Why does everybody want to be on her team? It's not about them. It's about us. It's about you. God brought you to this business to grow you and for you to step into the purposes that he has for you. But he also set you into motion of this business for you to have personal transformation. It's about you and your growth. I think oftentimes we believe way more in our past, and we use it as a determining factor for our future. You are probably have already done it today. I hear it every day in this business from not each one of you, but from you, of saying, well, it hadn't worked for me in the past, so I don't know why it's going to work for me now. Well, it makes sense why I'm not moving forward, because I've never had influence before. And so, I'm not going to be able to have influence now. I only have 100 friends on Facebook. And so I've never been close to people. I'm an introvert. I'm kind of a loner. So of course, like it makes sense that, I can't move the needle. I don't know anyone, versus competing with your potential and embracing your potential of what you can do, of who you can become, of realizing that you can personally transform, you can learn skill set, you can build your character, and embracing that side, not taking your circumstances of today or your past and allowing them to define your future, but truly seeing your future and your purpose and what you're being called to do, and embracing that and saying, how do I need to develop? What do I need to change? What do I need to adjust? What do I need to learn? I want to be a student. So being able to do that, I think we define ourselves from our past experiences, and we don't allow ourselves to transform. So we need to peel off those layers. It makes me think of somebody, like, you often see me, I put on a jacket, take off a jacket, I stay cold in my house, I take it off to go outside, I go to a coffee house, I have to put it back on. Any type of air that touches me, even if it's hot in the day, I get chilled, right? And as I'm thinking through embracing, right, embracing who I am and you embracing who you are, what we've done is we've clothed ourselves with our failures, we've clothed ourselves with our past, and instead we need to begin to peel off those layers, the negativity, the past influences that were bad for us, the past failures that we're allowing to define us. And it really is this peeling off of untruths and taking the time to say, that is a disbelief. That is not true. I am literally allowing an untruth, a lie, to make the decisions for me and make the decisions for my future. And that's really an awareness that you have to come to, of being able to see that. It's something that we've talked about so strongly over the last, 8 to 10 months, of understanding our circumstances, and that our thoughts are connected to that and our feelings are connected to that, which is also connecting our actions, right? So you have your thoughts, which brings out your feelings, which brings out your actions, which brings out your results, right? And you've got to change the narrative and embrace your potential, not continue to define your past. If I had allowed myself to let my past be my determining factor for my future, I promise you, I promise, I would still be in a fetal position in the corner. I would still make sure that no one could see me at all, so that I wouldn't be seen. There was no awareness. I couldn't be hurt. I couldn't have the blame put on me for anything. I couldn't be exposed to where harm could come. I would keep on this armor that was a negative armor to keep me playing small. That's who I would be today. But I made a choice to embrace my future and what God was calling me to, and how God saw me. He sees you. He's the one who created you. He knows your past. He knows how you have defined, and he is wanting to bring a new definition into your future. And you have to allow that. Scripture, truth tells us that we are a new creation, that the old is gone and that there is a new for us. But you have to step into it. And it's in this business. This business is one of the greatest transformators that you will ever have, if you will embrace what your future is. Another thing about truth is that it says that you have to renew your mind. That's spiritually, mentally, physically. Our physical is going to follow our mental, and our mental will follow our heart. We're all connected. The fullness of that connection is happening. And so you need to be embracing your future. So if you feel stuck, I want you to ask yourself, am I embracing my old self or my future? Okay. The third thing that I want you to think about and question is, who are you competing with? So who are you embracing, and then who are you competing with? Are you competing with yourself? Are you competing with the people around you in this business? Are you competing with the people around the things that are going on? Because this is the deal, guys. It's not about perfectionism. If you have not watched the training on perfectionism and procrastination, I'm going to ask you to go back. It's in Passionate Pursuits page. It's on YouTube channel. You can grab it at either spot, and watch that, because this isn't about being perfect. This is not about achieving to be seen or to be loved or to be wanted. We really have to question, why do we want the things that we're doing? And is it to be loved and to be seen, and that's your worth? Or are you achieving because of who you are and what you've been called to do? And it's this grit, burning desire inside of you because you want the purpose to be fulfilled, right? So there's a difference there. It's not about speaking unkind words to yourself, being negative towards yourself when things aren't going well. That's not what this is about. It's about competing with yourself in a very healthy way. So looking at kind of like what I was just talking about, embracing your potential and then competing with that to get there. It's a learning and a challenging yourself. I wake up every single day ready to be challenged and ready to learn. My moving the needle in my business comes from me moving the needle in my own personal development of my character, my spiritual maturity, my wellness. My moving the needle of who I am will always be contagious to moving my needle of my business. So if your business is not moving, I would say, what's going on internally that I really need to uncover. Because when I start there and I get healthy there, I will be a magnet. I will be contagious to others because they're looking for the same thing. They might not can put their finger on it. But when you can, and you evaluate and you allow yourself to be transformed, you will bring and be a magnet for others because they want it. They're yearning for it. So really looking at that, growing, challenging yourself, learning, raising the bar, not to be an overachiever, not to achieve because that's your worth, raising the bar because God's calling you to bigger things, to higher potential, to being able to impact so many lives and being able to do that. So allow that transformation to happen. Compete with yourself because you're worth it. You're worth it. Do you know that about yourself? You're worth success. You're worth those dreams that God has put on your heart being fulfilled. You're worth working on yourself so that you can impact thousands, that you will never know all of them. You will impact generations that you will never know when they're even born because of what you're doing right now in your business and in yourself. So stay in your lane. Don't compete with other people. You have been given your skill set, your experiences, your personality, and it is perfect. You're not broken, but there are areas that you need to release. There are areas that you need to uncover. There are areas that might need to be healed, that you need to trust God in that healing process. Those are the areas that are going to be transformed. Allow yourself to be stretched. Go there. Go there. Because it's a perfect place to go. It's a hard place to go. But the transformation and the beauty and the birthing of what's on the other side is so beautiful. So if you feel like you're stuck, I'm going to ask you to ask yourself, who am I competing with? So look at that. Allow yourself to be uncomfortable. Do the scary things. Someone shared last night, and it was just so beautiful and such a great picture. But she did something that was super scary, and she was asked to share, and she had never shared before. And a lot of times we think, you get onto a call and you're just like, what do I do and what do I say? And is it right? And is it perfect? And do I even have anything to say? And will my story relate with people? And we always think our story is not a big story, and it is a big story. Any story is a big story that's being transformed. But that's our inner self. That's the critic that's telling us something different. But she did it. And she did it, and she was like, I wasn't perfect, and I stumbled a little bit, and I was so nervous. But yet, on the other side, the people listening, they leaned into that. They needed to hear that. In fact, people joined this business because of that story. That story gave information that even other leaders didn't know. And that person getting uncomfortable and allowing herself to be stretched because she knew she needed to, because she knows God's called her into this business to do big, magnificent things. But guess what it did for her? It made her stand a little bit taller. It gave her confidence. She got on the other side and was like, wow, I loved that adrenaline rush. I loved leaning into God and saying, okay, you got to do this because I'm scared. It changed the way that she approaches her business fully and completely. And that's what we've got to be able to do, is that when we're running in our own lane, it doesn't mean to be mediocre. It means to allow yourself to be stretched and do the uncomfortable and do the scary and get yourself out there. So, allow yourself to stop playing those negative stories that are going on in our heads that we're saying, we do such an excellent job of telling another person's story of what we think that they are thinking. We build some really imaginative stories, and we make it sound so true. Like, if someone blocks you, you immediately think, oh, wow, they really don't like me. They hate what I'm doing. I wonder who else that I'm really just making feel sick to their stomach. I can't even believe I'm doing what I'm doing. Maybe I need to pull back because they blocked me. I bet the world is judging me right now. Versus, I wonder why they blocked me. In fact, I'm going to pray for them right now, because I don't think that this is about me. I think it's about them. I had 2 people block me in my business that I know of. I could have had way more. And one I've shared before was a family member. I'm talking 48 hours of pure tears. I was sick. I cried and cried and cried. They were so angry. They didn't just block me. They sent me hate mail, if you will. Like, it was through Messenger and text. It was bad. And it broke my heart. But it broke my heart more because I'd been praying for them, because I knew what this would do for their health, and I knew what it would do for them from a financial standpoint. Very successful people. But I knew with their influence what it would do, but I knew it would help them physically. And for them, my own flesh and blood, to hate that much. But in the end, they were the ones in a bad place. They were the ones that were unhealthy in their mindset. They were the ones that were unhealthy with how people judge, how they're viewed to the public. And woe is Melissa. Like, she's doing network marketing. Oh, the world is going to judge her. That's their issue, not my issue. But guess what? They've now been my client and their entire family for the past 5.5 years. But then I had another one just 1.5 years ago, a dear friend that blocked me that I didn't even know blocked me until I took her to lunch, because I found out, like, literally she lived in my area. Like, we grew up in Arkansas together. And I take her, I'm like, can we go have lunch? I'm sure she was like, not trembling, but she's probably thinking, I blocked her. Like, she wants to take me to lunch. And like, I don't even want to see her on social media. Thank goodness I didn't know that at the time. But guess what? She ended up showing me, we just met for lunch to meet for lunch because I wanted to love on her. But she finally shared, because she trusted me at that moment, that she blocked me because of her unhealthy life. She blocked me because she couldn't stand me seeing me happy. She couldn't stand seeing me transformed. She knew me as Missy from Arkansas, who was messy. Missy, who was messy. She was like, how did you become Melissa? Honestly, she sat across the table and said, how did you become you? Which is a spiritual transformation for me. But that spiritual transformation has allowed me to have the courage to transform across businesses, industries, wherever the Lord calls me, because I know who I am and my worth and my confidence. But because of that, she shared, I blocked you because I couldn't stand. I really couldn't. I didn't want to see another happy you. I couldn't take another day. So when we're blocked, we need to realize and quit playing these crazy stories. This isn't about you. Now, there might be some areas that you need to evaluate if you're throwing up plexus. Yeah, evaluate that, because this business is a transformation of lifestyle. This is a business of transformation of bringing value and serving your people. So make sure you're doing those things. But if you are, there might be some areas I still have to adjust. But realize it's not about you. So changing that as you stay in your lane. And this is the thing that I want to share. Never compete with another, but always get the support of everyone, right? So never compete. Everyone on here, we don't compete with each other, but man, we have to have each other's support. We have to have each other's prayer and encouragement and accountability, because it makes us better. So don't confuse the two. Don't live on an island, but compete with yourself, but get the support of everyone. Amen. Okay, number 4, envision where you want to go. One of the biggest areas of what you need to be doing is envisioning, evaluating, envisioning, visualizing. See it, speak it out loud, and be grateful for it. Thank God for it. Y'all know I'm a huge runner. One of the greatest things that I love about running is I literally talk out loud while I'm running. I pray out loud. I say, yes, Lord, this is going to happen. I am so excited. Yes, Lord, thank you for forgiving. I am like screaming. If people are around me, they're probably hopefully thinking I'm on the phone. I don't know. Because I do have my phone, and sometimes you guys literally FaceTime me and I talk to you while I'm running. Please don't do it just to joke around, because I will trip and fall. But I am speaking out loud what's happening this month, where God is taking us this month, what is happening with you. As I am in accountability groups with you and I know your stories, I'm praying them out loud. I know the future that God has for me. I know how He is calling us to give financially. I'm praying it out loud. I see it. And guess what? When you do it, it fuels you to get home, take that shower, and get to work. So visualize, envision where you want to go. Many of you did questionnaires for me, and you talked about being a diamond or a jewel and what that looks like. That's visualizing it. And then becoming that person today. You have to start becoming that person now. You have to take the action to do that. It's not just all of a sudden magically going to happen for you. That's why our journeys look the way that they do. And that's why all of our journeys look so different, because we're developing as we're visualizing, we're stepping into the role of what God's calling us to do. I could never give in the way that I know He's calling me to give, to not have some of the skill sets that I need to have conversations with that future Melissa that will be giving extravagantly internationally. I'm not just going to give, I'm going to be partnering. And to partner, I need to have conversation. And God's developing me in those skill sets for that to happen. So see that, believe that, and know that. Faith isn't about your feelings. Faith is not about emotion, and faith is not about circumstance. So whatever you're feeling today about your business and feeling like you're stuck, whatever you're feeling right now in your emotion and just going, I just don't feel like doing it, like I'm a blah day person. Whatever your circumstance is of, I needed to add 10 people and I haven't added one, that is not what faith is based on. Faith is believing what is unseen and living your life running after it. Faith is you sitting and believing that God is faithful and that He has called you to be faithful and to get into action. Faith is believing your deep-seated why, which was your very first question today, believing it and running after it. Faith is knowing that your needle will move today and this month because you are actively and faithfully working towards it. That is what faith is based on. Faith is putting your eggs in God's basket every single day, all your eggs in his basket, doing the work and laying those eggs in his basket, doing the work again tomorrow and laying those eggs into his basket, and believing without doubt that he is making it all into the beautiful future that he has put on your heart. And it starts with your why, and it fuels you into your passion and your purpose, and it gets you out of bed every morning, and it gets you to where you're showing up for your business, for your future, for your family, and for the future of thousands of people that you have not even met. So it's a joint partnership. It's not just that he is faithful and it's going to happen. And it's not that you're just striving and controlling and making it happen and almost making your team angry with you because you're pushing them to control. It's a joint effort of you showing up every day and getting into action and believing that he is faithful. It's a joint. Okay? Fifth thing, learn to walk in freedom. Learn to walk in freedom. This whole business is all about freedom. Freedom in health, freedom in lifestyle, freedom in the way that you design your day, freedom in your finances, freedom. But it's so much more than that. We have to learn how to walk in freedom. And it starts from a spiritual connection, and it starts from a heart and a mindset. It's an inside job. So we talk about freedom, freedom, freedom. But until you realize it's an inside job that has to happen, that's where it happens. And you have to do the work. We all do. We live in our own prison cell. And I think so much this weekend, as I was out running one day, the Lord just gave me the visual of Paul in the New Testament. And if you know the story of Paul, he was in jail multiple times. And he's in jail, and it's the story that he's there, he's in chains, and the angel comes and she opens up the jail doors, she unlocks, and she tells him to go. And she opened the doors, and it was at night. Like, it's like, do you leave or don't leave? Do I stay here as a good citizen, knowing that God is going to show up for me? Do I leave and be afraid that I might be beheaded because I've left? Do I trust that if the angel opened the doors, I'm to be obedient? But it's pretty scary because whenever I get out into the city, are they just going to cuff me again and bring me back to prison and beat me because I left? He had a choice when those doors were opened for him, and he chose to get out of his prison cell. And it's the same for you and I. Every day the angel opens those doors. Jesus opens those doors. He actually gave up his life for you to be free and for the prison cells of your mind and your heart to be opened. And it's your choice to walk through and say, I'm going to walk out of this prison cell every single day, every single morning. But then it went further than that for me, because what did Paul do? He went and he knocked on the door. They'd been praying all night long for him. He opens the door. The girl comes to the door, opens it, and she slams it because she can't believe it's him. And I thought so much about that, because we have the door slammed in our face every day. We wake up every morning and we say, I'm going to get out of my cell, Lord. I am not going to be in prison. Because of the blood of Jesus Christ, I am free, and I'm going to be free mentally. I'm going to be free spiritually. The chains are broken. I'm not going to be hindered anymore. I'm going to run my race. And then we get out there and we do our hour of business of our impact producing activity, right? Impact or income. And somebody is quiet. Or somebody says, what are you doing? Or somebody blocks us. Or somebody says, no, I don't want to know what you're doing. And we're given another choice. We can go get back into our prison cell and close the gate ourselves and say, well, that's my day. I'm done. Paul could have gone back to prison. He could have been like, I'm on the streets. I'm a free man that's really supposed to be a jailed man. Doesn't everyone know I'm supposed to be in prison? I'm supposed to be in prison right now. Instead, he said, no, I am free. I'm going to walk these streets because I've been set free. So when the door is closed in your face, when you're doing your business and you get a no or a silence or a grunt or whatever, or someone saying, I'm going to sign, and they never do. I have a person that 3 months we've been going. She's like, just get with me next week. Just get with me next week. We have the choice to be set free and get to the place of realizing they're going to know that their actions of slamming the door in my face, that does not put me back in prison. That does not make me pull back. That doesn't put me into a fetal position because I am free. I've renewed my mind. I know who I am. I know my why. And one day they're going to realize that I am free and that they're slamming the door. It doesn't affect me because I know what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So if you feel stuck, I want you to think about that. Are you walking in freedom? Are you walking in freedom? Are you allowing the slammed door to make you turn around and go back to the prison cell that God already opened? He already opened for you. So think about that. You've got that stirring in your heart. Like you know what you're being called to. So stop the stinking thinking. Like stop. Every time about this time of the month, I start seeing some of our leaders start sabotaging. And I see some of our leaders start doubting and start the negative talk all over again. Because they're at a critical place, just like what I said when we started this. We have hurdles that God is calling us to jump. And instead of seeing if your legs are strong enough and your core is strong enough to jump over the hurdle, to raise yourself up with confidence and jump over it and keep moving, many people literally, like I said, get to the hurdle and they cave in so that they don't even touch it. They don't even knock the hurdle over. At least knock the hurdle over, right? And they pull back and they say, not today. Because they go back to their prison cell. There was a time in my ministry that the Lord literally asked me, do I really want to be healed? Because he had given me freedom of my past, of my mental, of all the little girl with no voice, of all the pain. He had already redeemed it all, but I was still living in it. Every day I gave excuses. I gave my whys. I walked on an invisible crutch and I limped. And he was like, do you really want to be healed? Do you really want your prison cell open? Because it is. Or are you going to physically close it? Because I'm not touching it, girl. I've already opened it for you. I don't need to reopen it. It's open. You have the choice to say yes. You have to do the work to do it. So mindset, getting into action, faith it till you make it. You know, so many people say fake it till you make it. No, faith it. Faith till you make it. Get into action, work on the mindset. What are those thoughts and feelings and actions? Adjust them, shift them, and pivot. You can. You have the power. You have the authority to do that. The last thing is have a morning routine. If you feel stuck, 9 times out of 10, if I were to ask you, you would tell me you've given no space. You've given no margin in your day. You literally wake up and you're reactive to babies, to spouses, to your to-dos. You wake up late, so you're already behind on your schedule, and you have no morning routine for margin. So evaluate that and think about that, because it will give you the greatest strength that you need to stay unstuck. And so the things that I want to talk about is your faith, your fitness, and your future. That is your morning routine. Getting into the word, it can be 5 minutes. It can be 1 verse. Get into the word, be prayerful. It can be an app that you have. It could be Jesus calling. It doesn't matter what it is. Don't get stuck on that. It's giving yourself margin in your morning and space in your morning that is quiet, without Facebook, without social media, without kids calling out your name. It doesn't have to be long. Faith, fitness, and future. Move your body for 5 minutes. Deep breathing, guys. When you are inhaling and exhaling, do that as a meditation as you're doing the word. Like breathing in and just breathing in a prayer and exhaling any stress, exhaling any anxiety. Move your body, because when you are inhaling and exhaling deeply, you're getting oxygen to your brain. And most mornings we wake up, drink our coffee, drink our hot tea, never even allow oxygen into our brain. And we immediately start making decisions about our day. And we haven't even had clarity yet. That's why movement is so important. It doesn't have to be 5-mile runs. It doesn't have to be an hour of yoga. It doesn't have to be HIIT. It can be a walk. It can be inhaling and exhaling. It could be just stretching your body a little bit and saying, good morning, body. I love you. I'm so thankful I have arms and legs. Thank you, God, for giving me the ability to move. And getting oxygen into your system and into your brain so that you can think. And then the third thing is future, and that's your vision. When you've gotten into the word, you've moved your body, because your body is God's going to use your physical body to impact, to get into action. And then you think about your future and you envision and you speak it out loud. You speak it out loud, even if you're in your closet, even if it has to be a whisper so you don't wake up anyone else. You speak the future of what God is calling you to do out loud. And then guess what? You set your priorities for today. And are those priorities set around that future? Are those priorities going to move the needle for you to step into your future to be able to do that? And then you're going to get into action. So if you're stuck right now, there's a possibility that you've literally been reactive for the last 20 days. And it's time to stop being reactive and become proactive and setting some time aside with nothing else and really thinking about your faith, your fitness, and your future. I just want to end with this. This is a quote from Shirley DeQuinn. And it's it's about faith in business. And she says, we glorify God by being bold with the dreams we have. When we can do things on our own, it brings him no glory. But when we act boldly and act with faith and confidence, he is glorified. So being aware of who you are and raising that awareness of where you want to go, and then getting into action, especially when fear is present. That is what's going to get you unstuck. That's what's going to move your needle today and the rest of these 10 days of this month. That is what's going to move your business forward, is that awareness in these 6 points that I have shared with you. So to get unstuck, know your why, embrace your potential, focus on your own transformation and welcome it. Be excited about it. Visualize. Number 5 is walk in freedom. And number 6 is faith, fitness, and future. And making that a part of every single morning of taking a moment and reflecting on faith, fitness, and future. I hope that this was helpful. I'm going to stop the recording real quick.